Hi, welcome to FixerBrazil Podcast. I am your host, Tomás Cavalieri, and here we talk to film professionals from all over the world about the pleasures and challenges of filming in Brazil. And today we have in the show Tim Haber. Tim is a Berlin and Boston-based filmmaker with a fascinating career that spans from Emmy-nominated work on Trafficked with Mariana Van Zeller to indie films like Gutterbug, as well as projects for CNN, Nat Geo, Travel Channel, and major feature films. Welcome to FixerBrazil Podcast.
Yeah, so happy to be here, Thomas. Thanks for having me.
How did you get into filmmaking, and what led you to where you are today?
That's a great place to start. So my dad was a big tech guy growing up, and he was all into the gadgets, and he got one of those old VHS shoulder cameras that came in like a briefcase, and so he was always filming holiday events and family get-togethers, and I kind of got to see a lot of that. And then at some point, after watching shows on TV, I was like, there was a show that really stood out to me, and it was No Reservations with Anthony Bourdain. And it was in high school, and I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great to be able to either be him at some point or to actually work on the show as one of the camera guys. So basically from high school on, I was also like shooting my friends skateboarding and just kind of editing around with different missions trips that we had in the church that I was going to. And then in high school, and after high school, I just kind of tried to push into filmmaking. And I think that was kind of the goal, to be like, okay, I want to be the guy that works on No Reservations. And 10 years later, I did get to work with Anthony Bourdain on Parts Unknown. So that was pretty awesome to achieve that.
Amazing. How did you start, and how did you evolve in the career? Because you produce, you direct, you operate the camera, you do sound.
Yeah. Well, so one thing I found out early on in my PA days was that the guys that worked on this show didn't have a sound guy. So the camera guys were it was their job to make sure the sound sounded good. And so because the Parts Unknown crew also and the No Reservations crew also kind of ran a very small, tight crew. I was living in Massachusetts at the time, and also kind of splitting time between working narrative projects. There was a lot of Hollywood feature films that were coming through town, and I got the opportunity to PA on those. And then I was like, well, maybe I can join the union and get out of this PA world. And one of the best opportunities was to actually join the sound team. And I figured I need to know this tool anyway. So let's figure out how to run sound and make sure that's all good, because being a multi-tool is probably one of the most useful things you can have, right? So understanding how sound is working, also witnessing how filmmaking was on these bigger sets, and spending half of my year working as an assistant camera in documentary and reality TV, and then the other half of the year working as a sound utility and boom operator and sound mixer on narrative work in Boston. So I really got to split my time, I'd say, for like 6-7 years, between those two crafts and trying to figure out places to mix those two. So
when I started my career, I also started as here in Brazil we call video reporter, would be one-man camera for news.
Yeah.
And so I was doing sound, I was editing, I was shooting, I was doing everything. And then I evolved to documentary, filmmaking, and branded content, corporate shoots. And you also have this background, many documentaries and a lot of non-scripted, like we like to say, right? Non-scripted films. So tell me a little bit about working on this and your experience working on non-scripted films.
the first thing is to be like polite, and then really try to understand where these people are coming from, and understand their story. Try to have some sort of empathy with them. Create a good environment. I really like to learn about people as we're going through this filmmaking process, and the more comfortable they can feel, the better the filming usually goes, I think. So I'd say that's my approach to many things, is like just try and make people feel as comfortable as possible, and have a very pleasant and fun time making this, because it's like, as a filmmaker and working to tell stories, it's one of the best gifts, I think. One of the best jobs you can have, especially if you can just I don't know, if you can make a career out of doing it, it's even better. It's like, so and some people they only get a chance to do it once in their life, so you try and make it a pleasant and memorable experience. Especially, I think one of the ways to approach it when filming overseas and not in your hometown is to, when you work with your local fixers, it's like really trying to lean on them for understanding the culture, for figuring out what to do in certain situations, and then also, well, like what is I gonna? This is why I'm usually behind the camera. So
the same with me. Don't worry. Tell me a little bit about one of your most recent jobs, which were like the Trafficked with Mariana Van Zeller that you did, right? What was your role on the production? What were the biggest challenges you faced? Because if this is a crazy show, Emmy nominate, you got the prize already, actually, right?
Yeah. That was one of my most favorite, was getting the opportunity to work with Mariana Van Zeller and the team at Trafficked. Just an incredible group of people, very talented, looking to really strive for excellence, and getting into really challenging situations.
Okay, we're here. Right now, it's go time. Should I be concerned about my security? This hasn't actually ever been filmed before.
Money is the root of all evil.
Mariana is a journalist studying the black markets for probably between 15 and 20 years now. And so I got to have a little taste of that for about a year in 2021. And we shot all over the world uncovering and looking at different black markets, right? Everything from car trafficking to different types of drugs, guns, scams. The team there and the producers, and then really one of the key fixtures of that team is also her local contacts. So working with the local fixers and producers to get access, because it's quite difficult, as you can imagine, to reach, say, members of the cartel, or somebody who knows somebody who's doing something illegal and wants to keep it, hidden or away from, even their own family. Some of these people didn't share what they did as their side project. So that really, and I was a assistant camera and sound mixer on that. We stayed pretty small. I mean, it was larger for some documentary crews, but we had 2 camera operators, DPs, and I was the third person on the camera team, and running sound as well. So that's kind of where that bridge of sound and camera came into play.
Perfect.
And I mean, the show every year gets nominated for Emmys, and the year that the seasons that I worked on, seasons 2 and 3. We got season 3 got nominated for I think 20 Emmys, and we won 5 of them. Muck Media, the team, won 5. And this year they also got nominated for I think 29 or something wild like that. And we'll see how many they end up taking home. But it's just, it was a real pleasure to work on that, and also to work with these local teams as well.
You, who has seen this show being produced from inside, what can you tell us about why you think it got the prizes it got? You see the way the team works, the pre-production, the research, or all the chemistry between the crew. What exactly, what you've seen from inside the teamwork that made she and the team accomplish this prize?
She was able to achieve a lot of this like through her local contacts, and the team, and the just unrelenting respect that she had for these people, and like persistence, and working with them for years and years and years, and patience. A lot of times even when we were filming, but you had to wait for access, and no matter how much pre-planning you could do, if you're gonna spend the time and the money and the effort to get a film crew into any country, you want to have you want to have all of your planning is pretty dialed in as you could. But on this show, there was a lot of hurry up and wait in some instances, and the producers really worked. Okay, if we're in Brazil for a week, this is the window that we can try and meet these people and get these situations filmed. And it was that team. They relied heavily on the local fixers, and it was vital to get us in and out safely. Those relationships that those fixers had with the locals. Some stories you can read about, but it really, if you want to get in and film, you really need someone who understands the culture, the language, someone who has the trust of the locals, and someone who's going to continue living in that area and continue these relationships even long after you're done filming. So I think that's really important.
You probably got into some dangerous or more complicated situations than the team, Mariana, had to deal with this. The fixer were there. If you can tell a short story or something that spots to your mind about a difficult situation and how the fixer solved it, or something like that.
So we had this situation in Colombia where we had to travel through many different territories, and some were being run by the FARC, and then other cartels as well. We weren't working with them, and it was the fixers, they're saying, okay, we can't travel during the evening, we have to go through these places during the day, make sure we're keeping a low profile, moving through these areas. And then once we get into the territory that we were where we were working with the local cartel in that area, in order to meet them, we had to go wait at this restaurant, and then we would wait there for an hour and a half. And apparently while we were waiting, they were doing their drive-bys, trying to make sure that we weren't being followed by anyone. And then at some point, our fixer would get a phone call and say, okay, there's going to be another car pulling up. And then we would follow that car, and then they would, continue to tail us and make sure that we weren't being followed. And then at some point we would change cars, and then we got into a heavier duty truck, and then we drove up into the cocoa fields, and got an opportunity to film up there with some of the local farmers, which was really a beautiful area. Really, like, like you're in the mountains of Colombia, with some of the hardest working people there, and also in questionable situations. So
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, very many people, I can imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like the farmers were lovely people to work with, but yeah, of course you have to realize that they are in fact growing cocoa plants, and um, I don't know. I don't know how much more I can say about that.
Yeah, I understand. No, of
how
course.
much how comfortable I feel about even telling a story like that. Yeah, it was an interesting. It was really interesting, and like, just to, I don't know. We really were in the hands of the cartel itself. Like, we didn't have security with us, and um, but it was because of our relationship with the fixer and his relationship with them, or with members of that group, that we were able to do this. It was a friend of a friend of a friend. Like, so it's a lot of who at that point, um, and then you get the opportunity to have some really powerful interviews, and even challenge what these people are doing, and Mariana does a wonderful job of trying to humanize these stories and understand where these people are coming from, but also challenge them, and so we can really truly understand what's going on within these people. So
I want to talk to you a little bit about the film you have produced, an indie film called Gutterbug.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Hello. It was freedom at first. We were rebels, outlaws even.
What do you want to do today, Bug?
Tell me a little bit the story behind the scenes of how you got involved with this film and the creative process of doing this production.
I got to work on this film Gutterbug, in 2018, and it was a low budget indie film written by a friend of mine, Andrew Gibson, and Chris Tobin, and those guys are also Boston filmmakers at the time, and I had worked with Andrew as a PA on TED, and we kind of became friends and had worked on various projects, and then he wrote this project, and it took about a year of pre-production, because it was ultra low budget. We were kind of doing it in between jobs, and gathering together the resources and figuring out, okay, with a documentary background, there's ways that we can shoot a feature with a lower footprint, right, and be a little bit more guerrilla about it. We're still using ARRI Alexa and some more feature film camera equipment, but still trying to maintain a pretty low footprint. And Andrew, by living in Alston, he shot almost the entire movie within a mile of his place, and used those relationships and those connections that he had, as a local, and called in like all the favors, and we did just that. Like, we tried to really lean on the community around us to accomplish this goal of shooting a feature film in 3 weeks, and then the edit took about a year. Andrew did a lot of it himself, in between other jobs, of course, and then we brought in an editor to kind of sweeten things up for 2 weeks, and then we of course went through color and sound design, and then I had the opportunity to take it to the European film market at the Berlinale, because I was going back and forth at the time, living in Berlin with my wife, and then also, still maintaining a footprint in Boston, and so taking the finished film to the Berlinale, I got to kind of be introduced to the world of sales and distribution, and learned a few things there as well. Things to look out for, and just the challenges of even selling a movie, and like where to even begin, like with that, now it's easier to just kind of upload your film, but you still have to figure out how to find the audience, and some companies can help you do that, and other times they'll promise you a lot and they won't deliver. So you gotta, I'm a bit smarter for the next one, that's for sure.
That's amazing. And just because you said, do you have any other production, like personal project going on, or planning for the future after this experience with the Gutterbug?
I have a couple projects here that I'm slowly developing, some with finished scripts, and others, very much in their pitch deck phase. And we're pitching it to various production houses and networks here. There's a project about one of the oldest film studios in the world. It's here in Germany. It's like a couple miles away from my house. Wow. And it's called Studio Babelsberg, and it went through this incredible, 5 political regimes, and from the 1920s, the Weimar Republic. Then it became a Nazi propaganda studio during the time of the Nazis, and then after that happened, after that was time had passed, it goes into when behind the Berlin Wall, essentially in the east. So there is a lot of censorship that was happening at the time, and it's interesting to look at the filmmakers and how they used storytelling with this, censorship that was happening, and how they could get around it, or some of them that tried and weren't successful and ended up, in jail. And then all the way through the time now, where I think in the 90s and the early 2000s is when they really started to, once the wall came down, they really tried to make it an international studio. And then I also am working with the National STEM Festival in the US. It's a festival for STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And working with Carrie Byron, who was on the show Mythbusters, and Jenny Bukos. The two of them founded this festival, and they are really great at finding really brilliant students and bringing them all together, and working with companies to kind of elevate and educate and create a ecosystem of the future, essentially. And it's been just kind of brought on board recently, and I'm working with them to kind of expand the festival and really, elevate STEM and the students that will be joining the workforce after they're done high school. So,
wow, that sounds really amazing. Great experience. And switching subject again, because you have been to Brazil a few times, I think, for filming and also traveling, as I see from your YouTube short videos as well. Tell me a little bit Brazil.
I mean, there's 4 trips that really come to mind. I filmed in Rio for 2 shows. One of the Trafficked episodes, we were there, and then I also did another show called Driven by Food with Andrew Zimmern and Intuitive Content, and that was incredible. We, took 2 taxi cab drivers, and Andrew got in with them, and they drove him around the city to their favorite locations, and showed him what the locals like and what they prefer, and yeah, that was just a lovely time. And then, yeah, I got to go on vacation there with my wife, which is super fun. And I've gone to been to Rio, Sao Paulo, and a bit of Manaus, but they're so diverse. And I love every time I go there, and I wish I could stay longer. That's for sure.
Amazing.
It's like I got to figure out a way to get back there. Of course, our time it was too short, I'd say. I mean, it was like a week, right? We had a couple days in Sao Paulo, working with Portal. What an incredible company. So that time, and then flying into Manaus and going into the jungle, like that was really special. It was just so fast and too quick,
Yeah.
you know. I wish I could spend more time there.
I want to refresh your memory a little bit. I have a few pictures, still pictures, and we can comment on that from this filming for Google Cloud with Portal Telemedicina. So here we are boarding in Manaus. We took like 2 chartered planes to Coari, which is a city in the middle of the Amazon where you can only arrive by plane, or either by plane or by boat. Have you been to any remote place like this before?
That was one of the first times I was ever in such a small plane going to such a remote part. Yeah. I've done that a little bit since with the Trafficked show, but this was a first. Yeah, it was really great.
Yeah, we had.
I remember the sound of that plane. It was engulfing, like just like the hum. So hot, and it's like sensory overload, you know, just to get
there. This
there.
is the big airport, huge airport with one room, and this is the small town of Coari, where we are filming. So we spent 3 or 4 days there, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah. I remember the boats on the stilts there. Like it was like super dry, and there was just boats on stilts everywhere. And you know, I think we were there during the dry season, or
yes, it was really low the level of the water, and the director. It was we're shooting for Lonely Lip, right?
Yeah, I still get a chance to work with Jeff every now and again.
Amazing.
Like about once a year we get to see each other.
Yeah, so this is documentary, guys. 3 people plus 2 fixers doing all the job. But it was really great. A little walk around the fish market there. And then we took a boat in the following day to a smaller village where we were filming a doctor who was doing some exams, right, on indigenous people there and the local ribeirinhos, we call, like the fishermen. So this is the doctor. So we took this boat to go to a small village and film there for the day, right?
Yeah. That was really incredible. It's like heading out there and just seeing like the tools and that they were using to be able to, you know, take the readings and then take that back to town and then upload all that information to the cloud, and then, you know, all those doctors queuing in to give these people who live so remote, you know, pretty high level medical advice. You know, it was really cool to see how that all came together. Yeah.
Finding the characters to film and the locations to do the interviews there. It was really, really hot. All this data that they collect there, they send by Google Cloud to Telemedicina in São Paulo, and then experts can look my shirt, how I'm sweating. and we had this was a school, I think, that we had to do these interviews, and the Palafitas the houses. This is Carolina from Manaus, another Fixers partner that we partnered when have to film in the area. And our last night, no electricity, no air conditioning.
What a great dinner!
Yeah.
No AC, no lights. It was awesome. I think I drank all of the water there. It's just so hot. It was amazing.
I think I have another short clip here.
Oh yeah.
Let me see.
I'm Randy Tooshman. Bill Nye once told me in a bar that your body's made out of 70% water. I'm here to tell you, I spent 2 days in the Amazon. I'm out. I'm out.
Randy Tooshman. I'm so lit.
I'm out of water.
Yeah, we had a
this guy?
great time. Oh man, my alter ego, Randy Tooshman. Yeah, just a way for me to really be myself, you know. A lot of it was comedic based and just kind of like almost dumb observational comedy. And I don't know, I felt pretty comfortable exploring that and but also like those working with the just kind of like being in a place and seeing it from like a completely different perspective, you know. And I think already like as a filmmaker, you kind of come into a location and you sometimes expect one thing, but also you're always like hunting or searching for something. And as a cinematographer, a DP, camera person, you know, you're looking at details, you're looking at the big space, you know how the light's changing, and the characters and the people that make life really interesting. And I don't know, I think with Randy's character, you know, sometimes I just like goofing off and trying to, maybe that's like part of creating a comfortable atmosphere and making fun of yourself a little bit to then bring everyone's guard down a little bit so you can really try and get a bit more playful and comfortable. And you know, and I think that's like one approach to it. But also I liked making my friends laugh back home and like showing them a different side of sometimes these polished projects that we come out with, and have something maybe a bit more rough, or I wouldn't say authentic, because like that you can get authenticity in both scenarios, but it's just a little different, you know, a different approach to it.
So Tim, it was a great pleasure to connect with you again and to talk to you. I'm very happy to hear about your projects with the festival and with your new film project. I wish you a lot of luck. And where can people find you online?
You can find me at Tim Haber on Instagram. Very original, I know. And then also at habervisionmedia.pro is my website. So you can see some of the other projects I've worked on. Yeah, as I continue to grow my own company, and then amongst companies to support their work. So yeah, happy to still work in camera or sound or produce. You know, I just like telling stories. So
yeah, that's what we love to do. Tell stories with AI, with the real people, with whatever comes out in the future. It was a great pleasure to talk to you,
Yeah, it's
Tim.
gonna be great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again.
Really
yeah,
good.
Thanks for having me.